Hi, Katzcradul here. On the surface, this may not seem like your normal prepping video, but most of us who are trying to be prepared to be self-sufficient are in the habit of storing foods long term. And with that in mind, I think we need to be storing good foods, and certainly foods that will not do us harm. And I'm trying to refine my food storage down so that I'm eliminating those foods that will be harmful. Sometimes it means getting rid of some great psychological foods that you've stored in the past that are really fun to have and yummy to eat. But nevertheless, I'm trying to do what's best for my family. And I have been studying for a good while on the effects of aluminum in our diet and trying to find out exactly what things in our life provide us with aluminum, how we get it. I am not a doctor. I am not a scientist. I'm just a mom and a wife who cares about her family and wants to learn as much as I can. Here's what I found out. That our world is toxic and polluted. And we not only breathe heavy metals, we ingest them and we absorb them through our skins. Metals like mercury, lead, aluminum which happens to be the most abundant metal on Earth, cadmium, and there are others. Cadmium is used in the manufacturing of fertilizer, and aluminum is used in a lot of things we use every day. Now, what are the dangers of aluminum? Here are just some of them, and you can look them up yourself. Impaired kidney function, impaired immune system, digestive problems. And here's the ones I'm most concerned about because I have a member of my family, not my immediate family, but nevertheless, a member of my family who suffers from the rest of these: memory loss, nervousness, emotional instability, disturbed sleep, impaired intellect. Those things concern me, and they are directly linked to aluminum. Now, here are some of the things that are most common in our homes that contain aluminum. Of course, aluminum foil, which is in the back, any kind of aluminum foil. I do have aluminum foil in my home, but it does not come in contact with my food. If I want to cover something with aluminum foil, I always put wax paper down on top of it and then put the aluminum foil over that and seal the edges of it so it's not touching my food. I do have some of that. Sodas that come in aluminum cans or beer that comes in aluminum cans. I no longer purchase this. Aluminum is in most of the deodorants we use. It's the little aluminum that clogs the aluminum salts that clog the sweat glands. That's what makes it an antiperspirant. It's aluminum. There's also aluminum in baking powder. This is a brand I used to buy. It clearly says on the back, let me see if I can read it, the small print, sodium aluminum sulfate. Why in the world would you need to put aluminum in your baked goods? So the next conference you go to and they have a breakfast buffet set out, choose the fruit, choose the yogurt, pass on the donut and muffins, because almost guaranteed they've used a baking powder that has aluminum. Another thing that could have aluminum is processed cheese. Now, this is one I buy, and I check the label, and it does not have aluminum. But aluminum is what gives processed cheese that meltability. So if you're going to McDonald's for lunch, probably the worst thing you could have would be a cheeseburger, because there's aluminum in the meat, because the cows have eaten feed that's been processed with aluminum fertilizer, and they're putting a processed American cheese on it that has aluminum in it to help it melt beautifully on your burger. So that would be a pass. So there are some ways around this. Oh, and last but not least, this is an aluminum skillet. I've told you before in videos that I've gotten rid of my aluminum cookware, and have gone to all stainless. This is one I still had in the back of my cabinet, but I'm not cooking in it. I need to get rid of it. It's aluminum. I'm not cooking in it anymore. I don't want it leaching into my food. It's also in our water. It's one of the reasons you need to have a good water filter system before you drink your water. Now, what do you do about baking powder? There's a couple of things you can do. There is aluminum-free baking powder. I have a squeaky table. Every time I lean on it, it squeaks. Rumford baking powder is one that says right down there, aluminum-free. I have switched from aluminum baking powder. It is cheaper for sure, and gone to a little more expensive Rumford baking powder. It has no aluminum in it. Now, you can order this online from Amazon.com. They'll deliver it right to your door if you don't have a grocery store that stocks that. But you can make aluminum-free baking powder. You can mix 2 tablespoons of cream of tartar. Now, cream of tartar is an interesting thing, too. It's an acid that builds up on the inside of the cask, wine cask. It's also sometimes, if you've opened a bottle of wine, they call it wine diamonds. If you pull the cork out, there may be some little sparkly crystals on the cork. That's cream of tartar, and it's bleached and processed, and that's what's used in baked goods. It's what stabilizes eggs when you make a meringue. It stabilizes them and makes them bake well at a high temperature. So you mix 2 tablespoons of cream of tartar and 1 tablespoon of baking soda. You mix that up. If you live in a very humid climate, you can add a teaspoon or so of cornstarch. It will keep it from clumping. I live in a kind of a high humid area, and I don't have any problem with this clumping if I put it in a little canning jar and put a lid on it. I don't have any problem. But if you do, you can add a little bit of cornstarch. It'll keep this nice and fluffy, and that will give you 2 tablespoons of cream of tartar, 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, and let me do that again so I make sure I got it right. 2 tablespoons of cream of tartar, 1 tablespoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of cornstarch will give you 10 teaspoons of baking powder. So you can make your own right there. Now, what else can we do to counteract the effects of aluminum? It is cumulative in the body. There is some disputation as to whether you can get it out of your body or not. Some of the things that seem to counteract the effects of it, strangely enough, cilantro. If you like Mexican food and salsa and you like the flavor of cilantro, load up on it. It's a natural chelator. Vitamin C is a detoxifier, which seems to stave off some of the effects of heavy metals in our system, as is garlic. It seems to oxidize heavy metals. A couple of other places that you'll find aluminum. It's in infant formula. I was trying to find some recent research on that, and I couldn't find it. The research I was reading was a couple of years old, but as long as a couple of years ago, and may still be in infant formula, 5 times that of the aluminum that we find in breast milk. Of course, it's naturally in breast milk because we breathe it, we ingest it, we're around it, we touch it, we use it in deodorant, so it's of course in mom's breast milk, but it's 5 times more concentrated in infant formula, and it's most prevalent in soy formulas. It's also in antacids, buffered aspirins, and in vaccines. So you might want to check those products if you use them. I told you how to counteract it. One other food that was mentioned that you might check, it's used sometime in the processing of pickles and in making relishes. So those are the most common sources in our diet. Again, baked products, it says that most people get the most aluminum through eating muffins, which is interesting, but it's used in large amounts in making muffins to get that quick rise in quick bread. So there's an easy way around it. You can buy aluminum-free baking powder, or you can make your own. Quit drinking out of aluminum cans. Quit letting aluminum foil come in touch with your food, and find an alternative. There are homemade alternatives. There are even a couple you can buy, a couple of deodorants you can buy that are aluminum-free, but you can certainly make your own. Check it out. Store those things in your food storage that are going to be safe for your family. I hope this at least gives you food for thought and that you'll go check it out. I could have got on a real rant and talked about Alcoa, and you know what? I think I'm just not going to do that. You can look that up on your own and see how powerful that company is, the boards they sit on, the worldwide organizations they sit on, and how they seek to get aluminum into our lives. Katzcradul.